So hey guys, welcome back to the Lake Norman Business Podcast. This is season 2. My name is Danny Decker, joined by Richie Peplin as always, and today we have a special guest, Terri Long with Hemp Lily. So we're really excited to hear about her business and all the cool things that she's doing. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment and just thank our sponsors. So we are sponsored by the XL Marketplace Breakfast, which is presented by New Song Church, where we are recording here today. XL is a quarterly marketplace breakfast and a gathering for entrepreneurs, business leaders, and those looking to grow in leadership. You can learn more about XL, including the date of the next breakfast, by visiting newsongchurch.org. And we are also sponsored by Chapter 1 Films. So Chapter 1 provides high-quality video marketing services for business owners in the Charlotte and Lake Norman area. Their goal is to help businesses grow and tell their story more effectively using video. So visit chapter1films.biz to learn more. So thank you guys for being here. And Terri, let's hear a little bit about Hemp Lily. So what do you guys do?
I call myself a botanical health consultant. I help people learn about the legal forms of cannabis that we have here in North Carolina and how you can help yourself feel better with cannabis. This is cannabis from hemp, which is legal. So I'm also retail and wholesale. I sell online and in a store in Cornelius. Right now, about 80% of my customers need a consult on what it is, how to use it, figuring out their serving size. So I help them with that. So spend a good amount of time with my customers, and I just want to help share the health.
Very cool. So I'm going to just jump right to it. So how is hemp different from like marijuana?
That is the number one question. Great question. So what I usually tell people is people usually think of cannabis, they are both cannabis, and usually they think of THC, which is the psychoactive that gets you high. So marijuana is THC with a little bit of CBD and other minor cannabinoids. And hemp is the opposite. It's mostly CBD, tiny bits of THC, and other minor cannabinoids. There's over 100 cannabinoids in cannabis. So with hemp, you're getting most of the medicine without the high. And to be legal here, it has to be 0.3% THC or less, which all of my products are, and it's highly unlikely to be drug tested, so I walk people through that as well.
So you said 0.3% or less. About how much percent of THC is in marijuana?
You can get 100% THC. There's, depending on the strain.
Got it. So there's a huge difference, I guess.
Yes, you can get 50-50s. You would talk to, somebody who's more familiar with the marijuana side, and they can do formulations, but marijuana naturally is much, much higher.
Got it. So they really are polar opposites. That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're in the same family. They're both cannabis sativa, but this was the original ancient medicine that we used for healing, centuries ago.
So healing. So tell us a little bit more about that. Like, who are your customers, and how do your products help?
Just about anyone with pain, anxiety, insomnia. It helps with depression. The most miraculous thing it helps is with seizures. The list really goes on, and I like to say the word helps. I know I just said heals. I have to be careful with using that word. I like to say it helps. And it may help. It doesn't work the same for everybody, but for somebody, for a lot of people, it's actually a life-changing herb.
So like arthritis, things like that?
Right,
is it
so
helpful?
it is a huge anti-inflammatory, and in most disease, the root of disease is inflammation. So it goes to work for just about whatever your body needs to create homeostasis in the body. It's also brain balancing. So for people who have problems focusing and attention, ADD, ADHD, and again, a lot of anxiety, it definitely helps with that as well. So these days, most people have, at least one of those people have some kind of need for support in their system. Our bodies haven't had this for over 80 years that it's been prohibited, and our bodies are actually meant to consume cannabinoids. We have an endocannabinoid system, and the plant is phytocannabinoids, so it helps support that and bring back balance that we've been missing.
Super interesting.
So for the different things that might ail us that this could help with, are there different products aimed at the different, one for arthritis, one for anxiety?
There can be.
Okay.
So it depends on the brand, it depends on the company selling it to you. Some people want to do custom formulations, so they may add turmeric to a blend and say that this one is for inflammation. They may add melatonin to something and say this one's for sleep. But what I want to do with my Hemp Lily brand is keep it as simple ingredients as possible to help educate people that hemp on its own does all of these things. It helps improve sleep, it helps with pain, anxiety, insomnia, depression, and on and on. Just that one plant, you don't need custom formulations.
So it's that one ingredient. So
it
it's
is
kind
that
of
one
like,
ingredient. Not that adding these others isn't, really potent. And some people say, I don't care, I just want it to work. That's great too. Just currently, I'm not looking to patent any custom formulations. I'm just
Sure.
about educating
Sure.
that when they say which one do I need for pain, it's however you want to consume it. And
So
then
if I
guide
wake
them
up,
from there.
if I wake up with a headache, is that sort of like instant relief, or is it more like long-term like aches and pains?
It depends on the person.
Uh-huh.
For some people, it can be pretty quick relief. I've seen relief within minutes. Average, I tell people, is about 15 to 30 minutes of their first dose, but there are people that need to take it for days or weeks before they feel better. For anxiety specifically, that gets a pretty quick response for just about everybody. Often within minutes, they start to feel a calm and focused effect. For pain, that really depends. We have a salve you can rub on. A lot of people tell me they feel relief within a minute or so. But for a headache, it could be instant. Again, it just depends on your body's need for that medicine and how it metabolizes it. So the most popular method to take, which I would suggest for something like a headache, is our oil drops or tinctures, and you put the drops under your tongue and hold it there for 30 seconds at least before you swallow, and that gets right into your system for fastest relief.
Interesting.
So like even seizures, we've seen videos of it online, whether it's human or dog, giving them CBD or cannabis oil, whether legal or illegal stuff. But even the CBD that's legal here, we see people's seizures go away, within seconds to a minute of consuming this oil. So
Very cool. Very cool. So what led you into, this is an interesting field, so what led you here? What was your journey like?
I suffered from fibromyalgia for 15 years, and I went through countless doctors and all kinds of prescriptions, and prescriptions have side effects and they build up in your system. You end up needing more prescriptions, and I wasn't feeling better ultimately. So I decided to start researching on my own. I knew there was a way to feel better. There had to be a way to feel better without prescriptions. So I did a lot of research. I learned about diet and detoxing. I found out about cannabis along the way and how it was helping not only fibromyalgia sufferers, but cancer patients, and it was helping people for everyday, whatever they needed it for. So I really became intrigued with it. I ended up healing myself with diet and detoxing my body, but I carried the passion for cannabis. I strongly believe that people should have a choice and that it was a God-given plant. So I've continued to look forward to legalization of it in whatever form, and stages is fine. I don't feel like we necessarily have to go full rec right away, but as soon as I found out that CBD was legal here and the amazing benefits that it was having for people, I absolutely decided that that was my passion.
Wow. So you said legal here. Is the state law in North Carolina different than other states?
Yeah, there's, I believe, only 4 states remaining that have not approved CBD for use.
Okay.
So it's kind of the opposite of marijuana, where the feds say no to marijuana, but the states have said yes. The 2014 Farm Bill is a federal bill that allowed hemp products to be legal, and North Carolina adopted it in 2016.
Okay.
So all but 4 states are able to consume CBD from hemp legally. But me as a seller, I can sell it to anybody in all 50 states.
Sure.
Cross lines.
Sure.
It's up to the consumer.
So you mentioned there's a lot of sort of legal restrictions as far as like governing this industry. So that's probably forced you to be a little bit creative with how you market yourselves. But tell us, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about what those restrictions are. Like, I used to work with lawyers, and we did marketing for lawyers, and they had so many different restrictions. You can't promise results, you can't use, real names sometimes, all sorts of restrictions. So what are some of the restrictions that you face? I assume it's a pretty heavily regulated space.
Yes, you have to be very careful about what you say. So when I tell you that it has amazing benefits, I'm speaking from experience. I can't promise anybody anything. Sure. We don't want the FDA on our back, so we can't say that it treats or cures any disease. I just simply say this is the feedback I've been getting from people. It's very likely to help. I definitely encourage people to do their own research. But yes, we can't say it treats or cures. We treat it like a dietary supplement, and we just have to be very careful on what we're claiming that it can or cannot do.
How about like platforms? Like, can you advertise on Facebook? Can you advertise on Google? Like, are you restricted from that stuff?
I am restricted, yes. We cannot advertise on Google or Facebook. So when I'm looking for ways to advertise and market, people immediately think of those that are most popular. And I say, well, you got to realize I'm in a unique business. They're not there yet. For whatever their reason is, they don't want to have to keep up with all the state laws. There still is a lot of gray in this area. So I think Facebook and social media and Google just tend to stay out of it because they're not sure and they don't want to be caught in the middle. So I have to be very creative. And people say, oh, don't do print. Well, print might be a better option for me because I can't always do digital.
Sure.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So other ideas for creativity would be like meeting here with you guys and trying to get the word out locally. Yeah. A lot of vendor events. I do a lot of vendor events in this last year, which have been great for getting the word out. So I love to talk to people in person. I've been delivering my products in person, so I get to talk to my customers so they get to see me and get familiar with me and know that I'm not shady and dealing with the shady product. I'm trying to develop a luxury brand, so I want people to really feel comfortable with the product they're getting.
Well, and I love that you mentioned education too, because you mentioned that you're very focused on sort of educating people. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I actually think most businesses should be more focused on. Like, in general, I think it should be less about, how great my products are and more about, let me educate you and empower you and let you make the best decision and understand how this stuff holistically is going to make your life better. So it's awesome in some ways that you're kind of forced to go that route, because I think that's a really good sort of strategy anyways. But what does that look like for you? So is it like a one-on-one conversation? Do you ever do any events? Or, you're obviously here on this podcast.
Yep, I do a lot of one-on-ones. Like when I said, when they come in, they're about 80% have not tried it before and they need a one-on-one consult. So they'll sit with me for, average of 15 minutes. So that's definitely a good way to educate. The vendor events, they come up to me, I tell them about it, I give them a sample, let them go walk around, and, quite often they come back saying, wow, that's amazing, I feel better. Other ideas, well, I definitely depend a lot on my website and SEO. I have to show up on Google Maps, and that's how people find me. So that's one thing I can do, is constantly work on optimizing my website. So I have tech support. I have a tech background myself. I have a branding agency, Killian Branding, here in Cornelius. All these people that are helping me with what I can do, which is optimize my website and come up with those creative ideas.
So in terms of that and people finding you on your website, what are people normally, like, how do they come across finding you? They're typing in what?
They're typing in CBD near me.
Really?
Or CBD in NC.
Okay,
or
so they've
CBD
heard about
in Charlotte.
CBD, they understand there's benefits to it, and they're going right for it.
Yes, so that's exactly how they're finding me. I do ask most people that come into my store, and they say they just heard about it even the night before, or they've heard about it from a friend or family member, which is great because I want people to get referrals from friends, not just listen to something they see online.
Right.
And yeah, they say usually they just type in CBD near me, and they're amazed to find out that I'm right here in Cornelius.
Wow. Okay. Are there many others like you in the area?
They're popping up. Yep,
okay.
They are popping up. My girlfriend with Prime Sunshine CBD has a location down in South Charlotte. The Charlotte CBD opened up in mid-Charlotte. So I'm up here on the north end, and I am growing quickly and looking forward to expanding my own as well.
Sweet. You mentioned sort of you're trying to create a luxury brand. So what does that look like?
I'm trying to take away the stigma of hemp and cannabis, and I don't want it to sound like it's marijuana. So I'm just trying to go for a luxury boutique brand. I'm softening the stigma, hopefully, with my name, Hemp Lily. I'm not going as much for the scientific medicinal route. So just keeping it light and bright and airy in my store, welcoming, and just doing a lot of education for the first time customer who isn't sure what they're getting into, so they don't walk in and feel like they're in a pot store, a dispensary. Technically, I believe it is called a dispensary, but I'm going for more of a retail feel.
Right. Okay. Something more normal to them, as if they're walking into,
Yes.
like a Sephora or something like that. Not
Yep.
having that, all the windows are darkened and.
Right. Nothing
Okay.
dark. Yep.
Got it.
Exactly.
Very cool. So what would you say as you've sort of gotten the word out? Well, actually, let me back up. You said you opened a physical location for the first time just a few months ago, right?
Yes.
And where are you guys located?
I am at exit 28 in Cornelius, next to the Waffle House. So I'm just a block and a half off of the highway. If you pull into the Waffle House parking lot, you'll find me. It's Hemp Lily in there.
Perfect. And so you're pretty new as far as the physical storefront goes. How's that going? Like, are you getting foot traffic?
It is. The word is spreading quickly. Everyone comes in, says somebody was just in here and they thought your product is amazing already, so they told me to come in here. But then I still have plenty of people who are just Googling CBD near me and finding out and stopping in. So it saves them the drive to Charlotte or South Charlotte.
Yeah, so love it. So it's kind of a mix of people who are finding you online versus also people who are hearing about you through word of mouth, basically.
Yes, and people are finding me online, and I did start online a year ago, almost exactly 1 year ago. So, I've been in business, I guess, in this industry. It's especially in the Charlotte area. That's one of the longer periods, people have joined since then. So almost 1 year I've been in business. I started out online and shipping online to anywhere in the country because we weren't sure about the laws. The laws are still touchy, but it's gotten a lot better just in the last year. When I started online, very few people knew what CBD was, and here we are a year later, just about everybody has heard about it. And I wanted to mention to you, the term CBD stands for cannabidiol. It's really just a catchphrase, a term that people are most familiar with, but the medicine isn't all about CBD. It is the major cannabinoid in there, but you want a full spectrum product if possible, which is all of the cannabinoids in the plant. You want a full plant extract, not just CBD. CBD is just the keyword that people are hearing.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you have the physical location, you started online. Is it the type of product that once people start showing up in the store, they want to keep going back to the store, or do they end up becoming like you'll ship it to them kind of customers?
It's whatever's convenient for them. I did open the store because people want it now, and I knew that from the get-go when I was starting online. I was actually online and mobile because I wanted people to have it right away. I didn't want them to wait for it to ship. So
Sure.
if they were nearby, I would be driving around all day meeting my customers. As soon as they'd call me, I'd say I'll be there in 15 minutes. So I did figure out real quickly, we all want that instant gratification. So I opened a store, and people do like to come in if they want it right away. But I definitely let them know, and some people who may have to drive an hour or so to get here will just order it online. Shipping's only a day or two if you're anywhere near Charlotte.
Sure.
And plenty
Sure.
of people hear about me throughout the country, so I ship across the country as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So Terri, so the audience of this show, almost exclusively business owners, and we're talking about marketing here. So if you were to share sort of one tip that you've learned in your years in business and in your experience over the last year that you would share with our audience, what do you think people need to know about marketing?
Just find what's right for you and your business. There isn't one blanket answer. Right now, the hot things are Google ads and Facebook ads. They're good, but not everybody is on Facebook still a lot. I just tailor it to your style. You don't have to always go with whatever everybody else is going with.
Love it. Love it. So how can we learn more about you and find you? Tell us again where the store is located.
It's at exit 28 in Cornelius, next to the Waffle House. That's 20124 West Catawba Ave, Suite B.
Perfect.
And online is cbdoilsource.com.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.